that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either.
Their brand of politics, I guess.
But if you can't think for yourself, then you're not really free, are you?
No, you're not. You're not. But I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah, you know.
On Oprah?
On Oprah.
In a moment no one saw coming, Oprah Winfrey, a figure synonymous with control, poise, and unshakable composure, appeared completely blindsided as Ice Cube began exposing a chain of unsettling truths buried deep beneath Hollywood's polished image. The atmosphere shifted instantly. What started as a conversation turned into something far more volatile as Cube, unfiltered and unapologetic, peeled back layers the industry has fought for decades to keep hidden. What followed wasn't just revelation, it was disruption. A cascade of claims about influence, control, and behind-the-scenes power plays rippled through the room, hitting harder with every word. Winfrey, usually in command of every moment, found herself caught in a rare silence, a pause that spoke louder than any response. As the tension escalated, it became clear this wasn't just about two public figures, it was about the machinery behind fame itself. The illusion cracked. The untold narratives of music and film began surfacing in fragments, each more unsettling than the last. And now, with the world watching closely, the clash between these two cultural giants has sparked a deeper question that refuses to go away. What have we not been allowed to see?
What platforms have banned you?
I've been, you know, I tried to go on The View. They didn't have me on The View.
Why?
Well, a few of the guests just really didn't like where I was coming from. So, or a few of the hosts, I mean. So that's what I was told by the producers. You know, I don't know if the producers was just copping out and using some of the hosts to not have me come on and explain myself, but I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah, you know.
On Oprah?
On Oprah, yeah, I've been excluded. Yeah, man.
I would think you'd be the person Oprah would want to promote. I mean, you grew up in South Central, you were successful at a young age, you have dignity, you say what you think. Like, I thought that was the goal.
Me too. You know, I don't know what it is, but, you know, several of my, you know, I had a movie called Barbershop, you know.
Yeah, I remember.
That I wasn't invited to participate with the cast. I produced a show called Black White, and it was a very controversial show. And once again, they had the whole cast on, but I wasn't invited. And so I don't know.
On Oprah.
The growing tension between Oprah Winfrey and Ice Cube traces back to Cube's explosive claims that he was deliberately shut out of major platforms controlled by powerful voices he revealed during a charged interview with Tucker Carlson that repeated attempts to appear on The View were quietly blocked not because of relevance, but because his opinions clashed with the narrative the show protects. He also described a pattern of exclusion from Winfrey's stage, pointing to moments where he was noticeably absent, including when the cast of his film Barbershop was featured and when his project Black White received no acknowledgement, leaving him convinced that the silence was not accidental, but carefully controlled.
That sounds like right-wing extremism and whataboutism.
But I've been shut out. You know, some platforms will not have me on.
Why?
They don't like that I'm, you know, an independent thinker. I'm not part of the herd. I'm not part of the go along to get along gang, so to speak. So, you know, I'm an outsider. And so, you know, I'm not part of the club.
Ice Cube is shaking up the gatekeeper just by making appearances with Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Piers Morgan. He's having an impact. He's normalizing a behavior of, hey, let me go sit down and talk with anyone and reject the programming that I can only talk with who corporate media, the Democratic Party, Democratic politicians, and social media tell me I can talk.
Increasing frustration from Ice Cube has erupted as he accuses Hollywood of operating like a guarded inner circle. He insists his defiance of industry expectations and unapologetic voice have triggered barriers and calculated career blocks.
That I'm not part of the club. And A lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what? Who? Come on, man, stop playing. So, ever since I put out the contract with Black America, you know they've been with me. Here and there, this and that. But it's cool, you know. I expect that. You know, I've been working with, on the big three for a long time. And you know how they've been with me with that. I done made it, plain, simple, and clear what they've been doing. The NBA been with us. Now, a lot of people might say, like, well, but Cube, you want to work with the NBA. Really, I don't give a fuck about working with the NBA. What I want them to do, when I say work with us, is to stop working against us. Stop doing that bullshit behind the scenes that we know you're doing. Mainstream media, they ain't fucking with us. And that's cool. We can do it ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We still on the rise without these.
Ice Cube's latest remarks targeting Hollywood's so-called gatekeepers push his narrative even further, painting a picture of a tightly controlled inner circle that quietly decides who rises and who is shut out. He argues that real opportunity is being filtered through an unspoken system designed to reward obedience while sidelining those who challenge it, fueling his growing frustration over what he sees as invisible walls placed in front of voices like his that refuse to bend to pressure or play, along with hidden expectations. According to Cube, these barriers aren't or accidental, but carefully maintained structures meant to limit how far independent thinkers can go unless they submit to rules no one publicly acknowledges, but everyone in the industry understands and fears. And now, instead of staying silent, he's preparing to take this fight into the spotlight with plans for a bold Gatekeepers podcast tour aimed at exposing these patterns directly to the public, expanding the conversation beyond Hollywood and into a wider audience, while pushing for something the industry has long avoided: transparency, control, and true creative freedom.
What am I going to do to deal with these gatekeepers? Well, what I'm going to do is go on the Gatekeepers podcast tour. And I'm going to go talk to everybody, and get a chance to get my message out to the people. Be able to let people hear from me, and you might agree, you might not, but the important thing is, for me to go on these platforms, say what I feel about what I think, and some people may get pissed off because I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm not playing. And it's gonna be a crazy summer. It's gonna be fun. Appreciate y'all. Always support the big three. Hopefully I'm doing stuff that you guys dig. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for people that's bored as in the summer with summer sports and want something cool like the big three. So here we are. Appreciate you.
While Oprah Winfrey has carefully cultivated an image as a powerful advocate for justice and equality, she has increasingly found herself at the center of uncomfortable criticism surrounding how she has handled relationships with certain Black artists and public figures in her orbit. Oprah now faces intensifying scrutiny over claims tied to how Black creatives within her productions are treated and compensated, raising deeper concerns about fairness, influence, and whether the ideals she publicly promotes fully align with what unfolds behind the scenes within the industry.
It was important because it created a space and roles for a group of Black women.
Yes, and I would just like to say about this whole I heard I was trending yesterday. because people are saying that I was not supporting Taraji. Taraji will tell you herself that I've been the greatest champion of this film, championing not only the behind-the-scenes production, but also everything that everybody needed. So whenever I heard that there was something that people needed, I'm not in charge of the budget because that's Warner Brothers. You know, that's the way the studio system works. And we as producers, everybody gets their salary. That's negotiated by your team. And so whenever I heard there was an issue or there was a problem with the cars or there was a problem with the food, I would step in and do whatever I could.
Taraji P. Henson openly revealed that she, along with other black performers, including those involved in The Color Purple, were paid noticeably less than their counterparts, sparking a wave of outrage that quickly turned toward Oprah Winfrey, who played a major role in producing the project.
Well, Oprah Winfrey is hitting back at claims that she created a negative experience for the cast during the filming of The Color Purple.
Now, speculations started when one of the film's stars spoke out about being paid inadequately in Hollywood, as well as criticising production for making cast members drive themselves to set in rental cars. But the media mogul has shut all of those rumours down, saying there's no bad blood between them.
In these conversations, Ice Cube pointed to defining moments where his refusal to fall in line, including turning down a major film role over the COVID-19 vaccine, became proof of how his independence put him directly at odds with an industry that rewards silence and compliance. By aligning himself with Tucker Carlson, a figure far outside Hollywood's expected circles, Cube disrupted the unwritten rules of loyalty and made it clear he was willing to cross boundaries others avoid, all while intensifying his calls to expose and rethink how powerful media narratives and cultural influence are tightly controlled by elite networks operating behind the scenes in entertainment.
That it's harder to be a man in America now than it was when you were a kid?
Yes. Saying what you feel, being yourself, is what they call toxic. You know, we shouldn't be called toxic for our instincts and for, you know, I was born this way. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we be ourselves? We were born this way too.
So there are some groups, like if I say I'm trans, then people say that's great, you were born that way, we affirm you.
During his appearance with Tucker Carlson, Ice Cube made comments surrounding transgender identity that quickly intensified the criticism already building against him. Although his remarks were relatively brief, they sparked strong reactions from viewers who interpreted them as dismissive, especially after he compared the idea of identifying as another gender to someone expecting to be recognized as an entirely different species, such as a pigeon.
So there are some groups, like if I say I'm trans, then people say that's great, you were born that way, we affirm you. But if you say I'm just a dude with male instincts, you're not affirmed, you're attacked.
Yeah, I mean, everybody doesn't really have to affirm you, you know? If I wake up and say, you know, feel like a pigeon, I want everybody to treat me like a pigeon.
This comparison ignited a wave of backlash, as many argued it reduced the lived realities of transgender individuals to something simplistic and dismissive. Even though Ice Cube did not expand deeply on the subject, the remark lingered and, for some, it echoed harmful assumptions that have long surrounded the community, intensifying the controversy tied to his appearance on the show and amplifying the scrutiny already building around him.
Some people may say, whatever, Q, we treat you like a pigeon. But some people may choose to be like, dude, no. That's your world. I'm not part of it. And I have to be ready for that. It's a big world out here. Everybody doesn't have to adhere to.
Oprah Winfrey has long positioned herself as a leading voice in social justice, using her influence to spotlight conversations around systemic discrimination, inequality, and deeply rooted societal divides in the aftermath of events like the murder of George Floyd. She curated high-profile specials that brought these issues to the forefront, featuring powerful figures such as Ava DuVernay and Stacey Abrams, while also speaking candidly about her own experiences and the lasting impact racial profiling has had on people close to her, amplifying the urgency of these conversations across a global audience.
You got kids in college and the commencement speaker is likely to spew out woke rhetoric. Encourage them to stand up and walk the hell out. That will be one of the best life lessons that you can give them before they head off into the world themselves. Play the clip.
You are the generation that is forced to depend on body cams to obtain justice. And even then, accountability, as we've seen again and again, can be so hard to come by.
Where's the accountability?
You witnessed the storming of the Capitol and the death of civility. You're acutely aware that voting rights are being gutted, women's rights are being dismantled, books are being banned, history is being rewritten.
It is funny to me that a lot of these people pushing these agendas are already filthy rich and largely unaffected by what they want the rest of us to comply with through either being forced to change or agree with. And it is so weird that the Dems seem to never be concerned about the real issues like inflation, high gas, foreign threats, and the crime.
Why do you think we're in a happiness slump in America?
Ooh, I will tell you, one of the most profound reasons, I think, is because everybody is looking at other people's social media, what they believe to be other people's lives, which is only a snapshot of other people's lives, and feeling envy about that. And one of the things that Arthur and I talk about in this book is that envy is the great destroyer.
The happiness killer.
It is the happiness killer. And so anytime you're looking at anything else with envy, you have already killed your own happiness or your ability to be happier in that moment and probably in moments.
To surround yourself with people who are going to stimulate, inspire, and lift you up, who are going to give you energy and not take energy away from you. And if you're around people who are taking energy away from you, that's an energy drain. And that is the sign from your instinct, your inner voice, your intuition to say, let them go. Wow.
Many critics, including outspoken voices like 50 Cent, have leveled sharp accusations against Oprah Winfrey, claiming her involvement in movements like #MeToo has at times appeared to disproportionately spotlight black men. For instance, 50 Cent publicly questioned her focus on allegations tied to figures such as Michael Jackson and Russell Simmons, while arguing that similar claims involving powerful white figures in Hollywood did not receive the same level of attention from her platform. This perception has fueled a growing narrative among some critics that Oprah's support for black artists has not always been consistent, intensifying debate and division within parts of the community.
Anything against Oprah? You just called her a bitch. I'm gonna tell you why. You named your dog Oprah, didn't you? Yeah, I did. Dad? Look. I remember that. No, look, every time she made a mention to hip-hop culture, it was something that was wrong with it. And it was something that was on my CD that was the largest debut in hip-hop out. You're looking at it and you're saying that everything that's wrong with our culture is why I'm a success. Wow. So when I actually got a chance to talk to her, she was like, I never thought about it like that. She's not where she's at by.
One of the most explosive claims circulating around Oprah Winfrey involves accusations that attempt to link her to the alleged preparation and supply of minors for gatherings tied to Sean Diddy. Combs widely discussed in online speculation, these assertions remain unproven yet continue to spread rapidly across digital spaces, intensifying scrutiny and suspicion. Fueling the controversy further are renewed debates surrounding her Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, where past issues and criticisms have been pulled back into the spotlight, adding another layer of tension to an already volatile narrative.
Girls went missing that was at that school graduating class and nobody is talking about it? I'll tell you why. Because you guys are protected and I don't appreciate it. I want you guys tap in, tune in, comment. If you guys know about it, talk about it, spread the word, share this. Those girls in Africa went missing. That was at Oprah's school, Oprah Winfrey. Where were these girls at? Has anybody found them? Why is there not enough coverage on this? But those 5 guys that went missing, RIP, definitely feel bad for them. That's a lot of coverage. Of course,
Founded with the noble intention of empowering underprivileged girls, the school has faced allegations of misconduct in the past, raising concerns.
Authorities found out about it, and the employee was charged with 13 counts of getting inappropriate with kids. Turns out at least 6 girls aged 13 to 15 were allegedly systematically and ritualistically targeted. Oprah went on record saying she was going to look at the situation, but after her investigation, the employee was cleared of any wrongdoing, and some allege Oprah had a hand in trying to cover it up. But these incidents continue to rock the school, including a newborn baby being found unalived at the school, which...
In an interview on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay podcast, Monique has also confronted Oprah Winfrey about their long-standing feud. Monique accused Winfrey of betraying her by allegedly blackballing her in Hollywood. After her Oscar win for Precious, she claimed that roles she was promised were given to Winfrey instead, and that Winfrey and Tyler Perry were behind this effort.
Who was watching this, what would you tell her?
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do. And stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments, what you call, oh, I don't even deal with things like that, because what people are beginning to do is see you for who you are. Where Oprah Winfrey and I have a problem is Oprah Winfrey called us up and she said my brother wanted to come on the show and talk about him molesting me, and he wanted to tell other parents how to look out for molesters. My brother Gerald is a charmer. So my mind thought was, because she said, do you want to come on? I said, I don't want nothing to do with that cat. I said, nigga, I know is up to it.
Monique also expressed her hurt over Oprah bringing her estranged brother on the show without her consent, feeling it was a breach of trust. She emphasized the need for Black women to stand up against exploitation in the industry. Monique's candid remarks highlighted her frustration and desire for accountability from Winfrey.
But people can change. And who am I to say he hasn't changed? It might really be different. So I don't want to get in the way of that. I just don't want nothing to do with it. She said, if you don't want me to have your brother on the show, I will cancel the show. No show will happen. But I wanted to call you up to see how you felt first. When I hung up that phone, brother, I looked at my husband and I said, that is all right with me. That's a real.
She kept it because
she didn't have to call me up. She didn't have to say my brother was coming. She could have just ran with shit and let it happen. I dig her for that. Now I begin to see commercials with my brother, my mother, my father.
Adding to the bitterness is Monique's perception that Oprah, alongside other prominent figures like Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels, played a role in blackballing her in Hollywood after her Oscar win for Precious.
I got labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. Now I said no to some very powerful people. What Tyler Perry showed me, Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, and Lionsgate. When you don't do what we ask you to do, we'll take your livelihood.
But this isn't the only difficulty that Monique is facing at the time. So while she's getting backlash because she wasn't playing the game, Monique had been betrayed by somebody that she never saw coming. This is where things shift from professional to deeply personal.
What happened?
And we began to talk about our relationships with our mothers and our fathers. And I shared my relationship with her about my mother, as she shared hers with me, which I will never repeat because she shared it with me about her mother and father. It might be something she shared with everybody, but wanted to make me feel special. I don't know. Nonetheless, it was in our moment. I shared with her that me and my mother was not talking. I shared with her we were in a really bad place. I shared with her I was hurt and, trying to figure this thing out. She never said my mother was coming on that show, because had Oprah Winfrey said, I'm going to have your mother, I would have said, shut it down. I don't need the world seeing how greedy my mother is.
Monique has consistently argued that her vocal stand against unfair treatment and underpayment in the industry led to her being ostracized and losing out on significant career opportunities. She emphasized that her outspokenness was not just for personal gain, but was part of a larger fight against systemic exploitation and discrimination in the entertainment industry.
For the help.
Yes.
And so I can see how that could be a little contradictory in saying, I love my sister, she's been dope, but she's been the help for all these years.
Yes.
How do you reconcile the two?
Well, I told the truth. And what happens is we're now in a society that the truth is offensive. Mm-hmm. See, I too have been the help. Mm-hmm. And the very man Whoopi Goldberg told me to get rid of, which is my husband and my manager, he said, Mama, you've got to stop being the help. Because 100 years from now, when your image is on that screen, somebody else's family benefits from that, not mine.
Thank you for staying up late with us here on The Factor Uncensored. We have a great program for you, as we do every night. Oscar-winning actress and comedian Monique is making it clear how she feels about Tyler Perry. They have been feuding for years. Monique had accused Tyler Perry and Oprah of blackballing her from Hollywood. And despite Monique apologizing to both for those claims back in February, it appears Monique still has hard feelings towards both Oprah and Tyler Perry. She went in on the icons during a recent comedy performance. Take a look.
Numerous claims and rumors have emerged surrounding Oprah Winfrey, particularly concerning her alleged support for controversial figures, which has raised eyebrows and sparked heated debates among both fans and critics.
What was happening with Harvey Weinstein? I know you posted on Facebook already, but you haven't kind of spoken yet publicly about what's going on.
I think that this is, I'm always trying to look for the rainbow in the cloud, whatever is the silver lining. And this is what I do know for sure. When something this major happens, when you have the fallout, 50 women coming forward, that it's a watershed moment. And what I do believe is actually...
Some critics are convinced that Oprah Winfrey has continued associations with figures whose actions and reputations have sparked serious controversy, raising deeper questions about her decision-making and the intentions behind her alliances. And as these doubts grow louder, they challenge the image she has spent decades building. Because at its core, this isn't just about accusations or headlines, it's about identity, the kind you can't fake or construct without truly understanding who you are beneath the surface. And now with Ice Cube pushing these conversations into the spotlight, the tension has reached a point where silence is no longer enough. So what do you think? Is this just surface-level drama, or is there something much deeper unfolding behind the scenes? Do you believe more is still being hidden? Drop your thoughts below and join the conversation.